still driving?
No.
Oh. Say, Kel,
Hey, Kelly.
how you doing through that?
Hey, Matt, it's 3 o'clock.
I think there's one.
You can wait on that.
You got some paperwork to proofread.
After I will.
Did you want to close your door? It's 3 o'clock. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Roll call. Brian?
Here.
Sue?
Yeah,
Smith is here. We have 2 non-public sessions. I make a motion to go into non-public. Session 1, RSA 91A32C. And Session 2, RSA 91A32D. Do I have a second?
second,
Roll call. Brian?
Yes, aye.
Sue?
yes.
Smith is yes. We're in non-public. Session 1, Session 2.
3 o'clock.
What?
333. A magic number.
It is? You ready?
Yep.
Okay, I make a motion to re-enter the public meeting.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to seal the minutes of non-public session 1 and session 2. Do I have a second?
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Alright, so, you guys got anything? I'm just gonna go through some red folder documents. for the
No, I
sake-
got stuff downstairs, but I'll do it downstairs.
Okay,
Just update on permits and stuff.
yep. So, I have a water sewer warrant in the amount of $158.90. It's for 76 Main Street. Make a motion to approve this.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have 5 clerical abatements. One's for map 73, lot 139, sub 7. Camper was registered for 2023 tax season. The abatement amount is $226. Next one is map 73, lot 140, sub 29. The camper was registered for tax season. The abatement is $305. Next one is map 29, lot 1, sub 382. Camper was registered for the tax season. The abatement amount is $233. Next one is map 23, lot 7, sub 210. The property was taken after April 1st, so it needed to be made tax exempt after the final tax bill. Refund amount of $79. And the next one is map 136, lot 23, sub 13. Property was taken after April 1st, so it needed to be tax exempt after the final tax bill. The amount is $262. Making motion to approve those.
second,
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone else want to read any of these, or just want me to go through it, like I said, for time?
I'm
You
fine
fine with
for
it?
time.
Okay. I have a notice of intent to excavate. This is for map 130, lot 10. 90,000 cubic yards. Taxes are paid. Make a motion to, hold on, I'm sorry, just bear with me. Oh, there's 2 of them on here from the same person. The first one is from map 130, lot 10, in the amount of 90,000 cubic yards. The next one is map 266, lot 7, in the amount of 845,000 cubic yards. Make a motion to approve these.
Second.
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Alright, gotta sign this. sign the second one there. Have a notice of intent to excavate for, let me see, map 231, lot 1, 6,000 cubic yards. The taxes were paid. Make a motion to approve this.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 I have a notice of intent to excavate. This is, let me see, it's for a different. Oh, the first one was a supplemental that we made for that lot. This next one is for the same lot, map 231, lot 1. This is the original. Taxes are paid. Oh, okay, because the amount was different. Remaining cubic yards to excavate. No, it doesn't make sense. All the estimated excavation area is 5. Let me just see here, 6,000 cubic yards. See what I'm missing. Okay, he came in on the next day with this. So this is same thing. Map 231, lot 1, 6,000 cubic yards. Taxes are paid. Make a motion to approve this.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I have an elderly tax exemption. It is for map 216, lot 5. The assessor said he meets the qualifications. Make a motion to approve this.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We got a veteran's tax credit from map 85, lot 4, and map 223, lot 7. The assessor recommends to grant it because they meet the qualifications. Make a motion to approve this.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. I have a charitable recertification, Lakes Region Humane Society, map 127, lot 9. The assessor said they meet the qualifications. Make a motion to approve this.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I have a religious exemption, map 18, lot 10, Crossroads Church. The assessor said they meet the qualifications. Make a motion to approve this.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have a religious exemption from map 263, lot 3, Free Will Baptist Church. The assessor says they meet the qualifications. Make a motion to approve this.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I have an application for current use assessment. It's for map 261, lot 12, 261, lot 16. Just making sure I'm not missing anything. The assessor says they meet all the qualifications. Make a motion to approve this.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
There was another veterans credit application on the bottom of that one for map 236, lot 4. The assessor recommended to grant the veterans exemption to that lot I just stated. Make a motion to approve this.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Well, I just whipped through all that stuff, so let's see, I got 2 more things, might as well just do it. I have a Ossipee Conservation Commission request. Board of Selectmen, the Conservation Commission asked to reappoint Ralph Buchanan to the Conservation Commission for a 3-year term. I make a motion to appoint Ralph Buchanan to the Conservation Commission.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
one more item, and then we're done with red folder. This is the CCA plan that was passed at town meeting. So I have a motion to approve the final Town of Ossipee Community Choice Aggregation Program, to name Town Administrator Matt Sawyer Jr. as the municipal liaison for the committee, and to authorize the submission of the plan to the PUC. Make a motion to approve this.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 So I have the minutes here from the Tuesday, March 26th Public Works session, which involved 2 non-publics. There was no other public input or public work other than the non-publics that we had a motion in the public meeting. So I'll make a motion to approve these minutes as drafted.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Matt just gave these to me, it was really just so straightforward.
And that one there is.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. That's everything in the red
And
folder.
this one, Jonathan, you want to read now or wait?
You wanna read that downstairs, I'm fine with it, I just didn't, I don't, with the public input that may come and the public hearing, I don't know how much time we're gonna have,
Yeah,
so.
that'd be fine.
So you can do that down there, that's fine. Okay, you guys got anything? No? Anything?
Good.
No? I'll make a motion to adjourn to 4:15.
Recess.
I'm sorry, make a motion to recess to 4:15, thank you, Ed.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Good catch.
3:44.
Oh, these are over here. I don't know.
Because I got blanched. Secretary of Finance. Program.
Oh, yeah. Like, I thought maybe it'd be like a blank
Next election, you get
But it's just, but there's stuff on it, it's not just a blank card.
correct. The very next how the election goes. Right? So like, so what? The companies that Crockett hired, which could be. That's what I'm saying. Maybe 500 acres. And he pays less taxes than you and I.
Maybe before the primary.
You know that. I think it would be really good.
Oh, that's what I was thinking. Usually, I would
Yeah, and he pays less taxes than you and I. How's that? Because it's on the land use.
Is it under conservation?
I asked him, I said, don't you think you kind of should be ashamed of yourself? And he just smiled. I said, it's like talking to yourself.
Everybody ready? Okay, it's 4:15, I'm gonna reconvene the meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So before I open to public input, I just want to remind everyone of the Selectmen's meeting public input policy that we instituted going back a year ago or so. Public input is a privilege at a Selectmen's meeting, it's not a right. That there are guidelines that are set forth by the board, wherein you need to state your name, please address the board. There's no back and forth between people within the audience. There is a 5-minute limit, which is extraordinarily generous. Most boards are 2 or 3, and we don't have limitation on topics. So we want people heard, but again, please follow the rules as set forth in the guidelines passed by the board. That being said, I'm going to open the meeting to the first public input. State your name.
Robert Bowie, Ossipee.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bob. Bob, one more thing. Also, public input is not a Q&A. You may ask a question, we may not answer it, just to make that clear. If we choose to answer it,
That's okay.
we'll let you know. Go ahead, Bob. Sorry to interrupt you.
In the town meeting, it was kind of revealed, a lot of people asked about the Selectmen's meeting time. So I guess the town's asking to see if we can move that to like 6 o'clock hour.
Okay.
Would you guys be opposed? And if so, if we do it, how do you notify the entire town that the people that want to be involved, that we have a new time?
So meetings are posted by an agenda with the time on both the website and in 2 public places? That's the notification requirements to the general
Okay,
public?
the townspeople, as being the legislative body, is asking the governing body to move it to a time that they can be
Correct.
present.
With all due respect, Bob, the legislative body only exists at the town meeting, not at a public selectmen's meeting.
Well, the town's asking, and they asked in the town meeting, so
We
we're
will,
asking for an answer.
we will take them under advisement. Thank you. Next public input? Go ahead.
Yeah, Bob Gillette.
Sure.
Health reasons have kept me away from your meetings for a long time.
Sure.
I'm glad to be back and hope to become re-engaged in possibly things. I first want to sing your praises. The proposed rail-to-trail project seems to me wonderful. There's just huge recreational opportunities out there to be developed, and sufficient that it can draw people in from outside the town as well as inside. And that's good for business, so it's a great idea. And belatedly, but I want to congratulate you and the board and TJ and Matt for finishing the covered bridge at long last. It sat there for so long.
Thank
I was
you.
involved in
Appreciate
the early
it.
days of it, you know, but it's so good to see it out there restored and looking good. That leads me to a proposal. But the proposal, I have to back up a little bit. I hope I don't go over 2 minutes here. At the last meeting, I think it was March 18th, you declared that the Main Street program was essentially defunct and rescinded the $2,500 that had been promised in support at town meeting. I would say, in my view, with all respect, that's not really correct. It's certainly true that every organization needs to revitalize itself from time to time. But that's exactly what's been happening in Main Street. Pat Jones, who's here, has devoted decades of her life to this town and service, has stepped down as president. There's a new president, Lynn Clark, and I'm sure she would appreciate an opportunity in a public forum to set out her ideas, projects, initiatives that would benefit the town. I hope that that's something we consider. In a related matter, it was also stated that the building that they've occupied for so long is dilapidated. But there's a conflicting set of facts as far as I can tell. The town property tax record says that it's in good condition. Not my word, but they're in good condition. It's updated last fall, I believe. And that it's valued at $181,600. So it seems to me strange that the town would want to knock down a $200,000 building to create a few extra parking spaces. Maybe there's a better way to get additional parking, which probably is certainly needed. So here's my proposal. When you have an important decision, and there are conflicting opinions and conflicting facts, probably the fairest and most transparent and democratic way to resolve them is to hold a public hearing, as you're about to hold actually this afternoon. So I would ask to please consider having a public hearing on the subject of the future of Main Street, its involvement in and support by the town of Ossipee. To bring in a wider range of people than we have here today, hopefully. I mean, nothing wrong with these folks here, but more people may want to have input and possibly come to some common understanding that allows Main Street to continue, that has some good ideas, and you never know. Surprises sometimes come out of public hearings like this. So I would appeal to you to please consider that before you knock down the building. Maybe there's a better idea. Thank you very much.
Sure, thank you for the input. Next public input. Go ahead, Joy.
Joy Gagnon, Ossipee. I feel like he said everything I would say, so I agree with everything he has to say. And I think that there are several groups in this town that could help with those, like, we have the Ossipee Roundtable that has a lot of different agencies that come together and discuss what's going on in the community. They would know if there's a group that is defunct or not, if you wanted to ask. Or when you're thinking about what to do with a building, instead of tearing it down and, like you said, losing all of that money, maybe you can think about other ways that it can be used. And the Economic Development Council is there to help support those kinds of decisions. So instead of just putting only parking in, could you put in a bathroom or something else that might be used for? But as a person who is here at town meeting, who has a voice, who votes, it's very disappointing to see that you made a decision that goes against what the voters said. So if I make a point of coming out to town meeting and setting aside my schedule to vote and have a voice, I would hope that you would follow through on that.
Okay. I'll give one since Bob and both Joy brought up not giving the funding. So many of you are aware, may not be aware of RSA 91. RSA 91, there are 11 categories of what they call non-public discussion. This board can deliberate and privately based on certain categories to discuss situations when votes are made or makes the public aware of the situation. So with that being said, there's a lot of information that the public is not made aware when decisions are made. I just want you to chew on that for a minute.
That I understand.
Just hold on, let me finish.
I'm sorry, yeah.
None of these decisions come easy, none of them are lightly, but this is what the board's elected to do, is to make these hard decisions. Again, the public is not privy to all the information that we have when decisions are made. That is the law. You may not like it, but that is the law. And we follow the law to the best of our ability. So, Joe had his hand up next. Go ahead, Joe.
Joe Deegan, South Ossipee. If I could just rebut on the 91A.
Sure.
That doesn't include buildings, it's mostly personnel issues, it deals with talking to lawyers, it deals with issues like that. It does not regard in warrant situations, giving money and not giving money, or in any building situations, unless you're purchasing a building and you need to deal with that. Everything else needs to be out in the public and transparent. What I'd like to just ask is, in the tearing down or dealing with that Moultonville property, the park and the building, if you ask DES about what's going on, because you know that effectively, for lack of a better term, is a Superfund site. There is more oil underneath that than to shake a stick at. There are test pits, there are test wells that have been driven in there. They constantly study that. Some of them were destroyed when the irrigation system was put in, and they put new ones in. So that building used to be where the oil went into and then went into the tanks to fill. So that would be pretty saturated, I bet, right there. So touching that property without having it fully looked at, I'm not sure that's a good idea, without involving a soil scientist and somebody from a hazmat, from the state. That's just a thought. And then just a question about parking. Do we need parking? Sure. I mean, they use the parking lot I have all the time. Where the businesses are, for the most part, wouldn't it be better served to put it more towards the center of town, like taking out the horseshoe pits and turning that more into parking, and moving the horseshoe pits to the park so the park can get used better? There's something to think about, instead of destroying a building that does get used and was redone by the town, 15 years ago? So the town made a building not correct. So that's just my thoughts on that.
Thank you. And I'm not having a back and forth, but I'm gonna answer what you said. RSA 91, Section C gives us the authority to discuss what we've discussed in the non-public. The building and the vote was done in the public meeting. We followed the law. DES, we are going to be in touch with DES before the building is demolished. So thank you. Next public input?
Just to follow up.
Oh, hold on, I got others. Go ahead, Lois, in the back.
Hi, Lois Sweeney, Ossipee Corner. That building may have had some work done by the town, but most of it was done by volunteers for Main Street, not for you, not for the town, but they volunteered their time and efforts to Main Street. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into that park and the building, and I think you should consider that.
Okay, thank you. Next public input, go ahead, Susan.
Susan McGuire Doyle from Center Ossipee. I have a quick question. In February 5th, in the Selectmen's meeting, you mentioned about 2 articles not coming in on time. So that was Article 38 and Article 39. And then at the budget meeting 2 days later, it was brought up again in public about how, because it was not in on time. And it's still, then it went to the town meeting. And at the town meeting, they ended up voting both things in, even though it was suggested that the selectmen said no, and budget committee was kind of split on it. They weren't in 100% agreement. I was wondering, is Article 38, the way station, is that those funds being withheld too?
No.
Okay, and so just Article 39, which would be the Main Street
Correct.
program, that's being held. Is that being held because the building's not going to be there? I mean, they can still meet. You mentioned it one other time, they could be down the Freight House. They still can continue the program someplace else. And so why take away the money if they can continue the program? And then my last thing was on the building itself coming down. Oh dear. I think he brought up about the DES. Oh, I guess that's it. Sorry.
Yep.
Those were my questions.
So Main Street hasn't received funding in about 4 years. They came in last minute with a petition warrant article, not through the normal budget process, where you, as a budget committee member,
Right.
would have had time to review nonprofit status, tax ID, what they're serving, how they're serving, all the criteria that we do through the budget process. That did not occur this year. So being the fact they weren't funded in 4 years, the budget process wasn't reviewed, the program hasn't been putting out I don't want to say nothing in a negative way because they served the town when the program was very active. For the last few years, it hasn't. So the board has the right to, I don't need to rehash what town meeting is, but town meeting, the people pass the bottom line. The selectmen have the right to move the money around as they see fit. This is one of those examples. So, but I'm also going to add, if the new president, who's going to run the program, comes to us and says, look, I need some money for this particular purpose. We're not opposed to giving money for a particular purpose. But the board, in their wisdom, which they're elected to make these decisions, determined handing out $2,500 to a program that hasn't been funded in 4 years, that didn't go through the budget process, was not a smart use of funds. So going forward, if they come to us and they need some funding for something, we will provide that funding within that $2,500.
Did they come, the date was February 6th, and I know when you talked about the ways they came in on that day. Did that one come in on the day, February 6th itself?
It came in by petition the day before the deadline, but again,
Right.
petition warrant articles are a request. A normal outside agency goes through the budget process. September, they get the application. You've seen it. There's multiple
Right.
pages. We review it, we discuss it, we hash it out, and we vote on it. That did not occur. Next, anybody else before Joe? Because Joe's had an opportunity. Then I'll go back to Joe. Damon? Yeah, Damon had his hand up.
Thank you.
I'll come back.
Name, Street, son. 2 things. Would the board consider entertaining unsealing the minutes that led up the decision to demolish the building or pursue demolishing the building? Because with that decision being made, then I would think that there would be no reason to keep the...
No,
Okay. Second...
he's got another.
The second one. So when we talk about it came in at the last minute, but it also made the deadline, that's kind of confusing. Was there any, does the budget committee stop reviewing articles before the deadline to submit petition articles? And maybe these deadlines need to be adjusted so the budget committee can do the review.
Okay, so budget warrant articles have to be sent in 5 Tuesdays before town meeting. That's correct, right? Yep. 5 Tuesdays before town meeting. That is the deadline for petition warrant articles. That doesn't mean that they have to be approved. It just means they have a right to submit it up until that point. It seems to be that there's a notion that if it's submitted on time, it has to get approved. There was no vetting on it. Again, I don't want to repeat what I just told Susan. They haven't got funding in 4 years. The outside agency packet, which is what this is, you're not part of the town, was not filled out. It came in with a petition to give them money. If someone came in with a petition to give $5,000 to somebody to release balloons on the 4th of July, I would say that's a bad use of funds. So what I made clear at town meeting was, next year, if they want to resubmit, submit the outside agency packet, that's publicly notified, they get letters mailed from the town administrator, by September, early October, submit the information, it gets to the board, we get to review it through the normal budget process. And again, I'm going to repeat what I just told Susan, if the organization needs funding for something, and they can prove to us they need to buy a laptop computer, they need to buy something, we will fund that. We will fund that. Hold on, Joe. Joe's, I'm sorry.
Joe Deacon, Senator Ossipee. Just because I think it needs a little clarification, that you stated that it's okay for the selectmen to move funds around. If it's a warrant article, you cannot. It needs to stay with the warrant article. If it's in an operating, yeah, but when you were explaining it, it sounded globally, including warrant articles.
We're not moving it around.
Pardon?
We're not expending the funds. If they need a portion of that money, we can expend it. I'm
No,
talking about the bottom line of the budget, Joe. I was
Yeah,
referring.
but the bottom line of the budget includes all the warrant articles. That means you can't move warrant article information around. You can move operating budget,
Correct, Joe.
the article, whichever one shows for the water and all that departments. You can move that money around, but you cannot change warrant article money.
Correct, but that's not
Now,
relevant to the discussion.
But you also, just for clarification, you do have the right to not fund a warrant articles in a case of defunct or something, or information comes in. You have that right to do that. But speaking for it, we do have an organization that is clearly not defunct, it's still going. So, I mean, you can put a warrant article in to just allow pink dogs in here, and the legislative body can vote on that, you know, and it can still go through. But it's not really a legal vote, so you can do that. But as long as it's a legal vote, and the legislative body wanted that money to be given to the Main Street, and they are not defunct, they should get that money.
Okay. We've already answered these questions. I appreciate the question. I don't want to keep repeating the same thing over and over again, so let's move on to a new question. Go ahead.
Just to follow up, as you may know, or not, I don't know, the deed of the building, the town ownership of the building, describes it as the Main Street Annex, and it says that it shall be used, occupied by the Main Street program or recreational uses. It occurs to me, and this is something that might come up in a public hearing, why not? You want extra parking spaces, knock the existing recreational building down, move recreation department to that building, let them share space with Main Street, and put new parking spaces down here. That way you preserve a $200,000 very good condition building.
So I will answer you. So when this was originally adopted, the Main Street property, when the town purchased it for $65,000,
Yeah.
I'm going to read what, this is an article, this is in the town report
Yeah.
from 2006. This is what it says. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $65,000 for the purchase of 3 lots located at 15 Moultonville Road for the creation of a town parking area. A park located in the center of town is consistent with and recommended by the town's master plan. So what we're doing is in line with what was actually passed by the people in 2006 through the warrant article to purchase the land. And yes, you are correct, the deed does reference that, but for us to not take that building down, the deed would have to say the building must stand in perpetuity and it must be maintained in perpetuity by the town. It doesn't do that. The selectmen have broad authority under RSA 4111A to manage property of the town. That's under our jurisdiction and under our authority.
I don't doubt that you have the authority to do that, but whether it makes sense to the public.
No, and I appreciate it. That's what we're here to discuss. I'm just relaying to you the facts of the matter. Kyle hasn't spoken yet. Let me give Kyle a chance.
Hi, Kyle Copeland, Center Ossipee. Just a question, what businesses do you think would directly benefit from the new parking that would be created by this?
So, an obvious one is the train station restaurant. You have another business going in that's 2 buildings before that. He's coming in there. You have the deli across the street, you had the business on the corner, that had the tailor in it. You have the Sap House Meadery, you have the Ridgetop shooting class program. Plus then you have all the people that are utilizing the gazebo or the playground. I mean, I pull into the Freight House when I'm doing zoning on a summer day and people go, where can I park? And I say, find a spot. I mean, do your best, find a spot. And the big thing is if this rail trail comes in, frankly, that's not even gonna be enough parking, if this rail trail comes in. So parking is an absolute necessity. I don't care how you shake it, the board recognizes that. So, thank you. Go ahead, Joy.
I agree we need parking. Is there anything that we can say that's going to change your mind or change how you do this in the future?
I can't say no, but the board is, I mean, you have anything you want to say, Brian? or-
Yeah, I do. I think when we look at, again, I said this, I believe it's with the candidates, like, when we look at municipal property, it falls into two categories. It's either an asset or a liability. And when you look at what tasks Selectmen have, or any public official, is to do no harm. So being mindful of that, when you have a building that has, you know, really, it has no, you know, like the infrastructure of it, it has no like mechanics, right? I mean, it has no foundation, you know. So you can't say like, oh, it's bad. Like it doesn't have a foundation. So it would fall under the realm of it could do harm. So it's a separate issue from Main Street. There's nothing to do with Main Street. I myself, Sue, or John want nothing more than for Main Street to be vibrant. And I think when you look at it pragmatically, a lot of what they've done has been off-site. So there's a rubber ducky race. There are Christmas lights. There was a farmer's market. You know, my son's 14, he was in a car seat the last time that there was a farmer's market. These are all things that Main Street can still do and thrive. And when you look at outside agencies that get funded, it's really based on their vibrancy. And if you look at like schools out, for example, they're a vibrant outside agency. And then we work down the line. So for the last few years, not to disparage anyone or anything, it hasn't been as vibrant, and they can still exist because of the off-site use of their activities. The penny sale happens in this room. They can still meet at the Freight House. But when you look at doing no harm, and you have a building that doesn't have a foundation, it would fall under the liability and not an asset.
Go ahead, Joy.
It's two separate issues.
What,
Go ahead.
I think what I would like to see in the future is when you're making decisions like this, reaching out to the community, to different groups who do know what's going on and have input, and seeing if there's any insight. But I really think we need a public bathroom. If you're gonna tear down a building that has plumbing, has a bathroom, can you consider changing your plan so that you can add something into it? Instead of tearing the entire thing down, are there sections you can tear down and have parking but still have a public bathroom? There isn't one except in this building in the whole town. So I just feel like you could have gotten some insight from the community. And also, I mean, Pat is here. She's been doing a lot of work in our community for a long time. I want to do a lot of work in our community, and I'm a little discouraged by how this is being handled right now. I feel like if I do the service that I do, if I build a building, if I build a park, are you going to, in the future, just tear it down right in front of me? I feel like I understand that there is progress that needs to be made, but there's a lot of people that do a lot in this community and don't want to just see it torn down and told that it's not of any value.
Okay, thank you. Joe was next, sorry, Sue. You next.
Jody in Center Ossipee again. Brian, I'm sorry, but to use the no foundation as an excuse, the Freight House, the annex that has a lot of offices in it, has no basement, it has no foundation. Matter of fact, it's in a worse situation than the Main Street building we're talking about, because underneath that is a constantly wet ground. So, yeah, I find it hard to use the basement foundation is an excuse.
So the mechanical elements are zero. The return on investment is hundreds of years. So when you look at assets and liabilities, you look at ROI. Joe.
Yeah, no,
And that's exactly what we're talking about. The return on investment is beyond 100 years. So the mechanical elements are what comes into play, and the do no harm, which is charged to public officials, comes into play. If they were using the building like they say they are, then it could be harmful
if they were using the what building?
to the public.
Main Street building?
Yeah, as they say they are.
They are using it.
Exactly.
And other
So we
people-
want to do no harm and reduce liability and not get rid of assets. This falls under either an asset or a liability. And it also,
I guess it depends upon the perspective you're looking at it, on asset liability. I mean, if you want to look at it as what was stated as it has structural deficiencies, well, at candidates night, we were told this building has structural deficiencies. So are we ripping this building down immediately? Is this a liability? Are we getting ROI on this? The ROI is different depending upon how you look at it. What's the return on investment for that? What's the money spent on that versus what you're going to spend money on this? When are you going to return it? I mean, these lights could all be LED in this place and get a lot of return on investment that hasn't been done.
All right,
So, and it would be relatively inexpensive to change this over, but that hasn't been done or looked at. So there's other places to make money and earn money and get your ROI that you're talking about.
Thanks,
with
Joe.
the town.
Thank you. Okay, Susan.
One more thing.
Sure.
I'm in agreement, that the timeframe, the whole timing thing is off. Again, you want our warrants, we have to submit them in so much time, and with the selectmen meeting. We didn't find out until the last selectmen meeting, March 18th, that this was going to happen. She did not get served the papers until, beginning of this week, Matt, that you brought them over. And the electricity was shut off 3 days later. It was a done deal. If we were leasing it and a tenant was paying rent, you'd give them 30, 60 days notice. It'd be a heads up so that, they know it was coming down the line. You could prepare for that. They could actually, decide where to meet someplace else, not just it's done 3 days later, boom, and if you had the permit, it would have been torn down by the end of the week. I think the whole thing is the timing. We voted to give the money. The public thought it was happening. Maybe we were blindsided. It wasn't happening. But the courtesy of the time to say this is what we decided, safety. This is what we decided. You have 30 days, you have 60 days, 90 days, what anybody would do with any company. That would have been the polite, transparent thing to do, not just boom, everything exploded in 7 days. That's.
Thank you. Brian made a good point. The program can continue. The overwhelming majority of the programs are not part of the building. This is one of those where I talked about 91A earlier. I can't get into those details. That, again, a lot of things that you don't know that we cannot discuss here. They are capable, if they need to hold monthly meetings, they can schedule to get on the Freight House agenda. They can use this facility. It's not that there's not any other options. So they have a multitude of options to use town facilities to organize their events. And we will assist them financially if there's a need that comes forward and they show proof that they need the finances to make it operate.
Okay.
So, just let me see. David put his hand up first.
David Doyle,
I'm trying to keep it in order here.
One quick thing, you mentioned about parking in different spots and different businesses downtown. There's 2 parking spots across from the Mountain View Station that have signs on them that say tenant parking only, all owners will be towed at owner's expense.
Yep.
Is that town property, state property, or is that private property?
So that is, okay, good.
No.
I didn't want to interrupt you.
No.
Yeah, we're aware of that, and that is something we're going to be looking into, that those signs have appeared at the state road. Is it in his deed that he can put those signs there? I don't know. That's something we'll have to explore, but that is a state road, not a town road.
Okay, well, my next thing on that is then why is the town plowing that road?
We don't plow.
I sat and watched the loader clean all the snow out of there.
We normally plow,
Clean up the sidewalks.
oh yeah.
No, this
Sidewalk.
was the parking spots, because I watched the people shovel their 2 cars out, because I was out plowing this last storm.
But
Yeah.
and then turned around, and I was sitting there as the loader came by, I scooped all
So when the
snow.
sidewalks get cleared, that snow has to be removed?
It wasn't the sidewalks.
Okay, I don't know.
It was the parking.
I can't speak to that. But
That's why I wanna know, because if it's a private property, I have an issue with town money being
of
spent on
course,
private property.
we
But
100%
if this
agree
is
with that.
town property or state property,
Yeah.
then
That's,
everybody in this whole town and visitors to this town should be able to park in those 2 spots, and there should not be any signs.
That is a question we're gonna have to answer, and feel free to reach out.
Yeah,
when you get that answer.
well, you were saying about parking, I'm like, there's 2 spots right in the center of town that,
I've
if I
heard the
park
same
there,
thing.
somebody's gonna come tow my truck.
I missed who, no, you weren't. Kyle, go ahead, and then I'll go to Joe, and then I'll go to Bob.
I just want to make a quick observation. Kyle Coleman, Center Ossipee. 8 years of coming to town meetings now. I definitely see when we miss deadlines with some of these groups that the public sentiment, I get caught up in it too. We all want to help these groups. We all want to try and, make their job easier to operate what they're trying to do for our community. But I also see the selectmen side of things where you're trying to do right by the assets that are in town and, try to keep everybody happy, and that's not always easy to do. So I guess what I land on is the fact that 4 years they weren't coming and asking for money, weren't real active, it sounds like. So now as soon as we say, okay, we're gonna take the building away, then all of a sudden everybody shows up and says, oh, we are active, we are gonna try and do stuff. I've seen that happen, it seems like a few times with other groups around here and stuff, and if I was in the budget committee, I would be frustrated by people that don't go through the process and do it the way you're supposed to do, and give everyone a chance to actually vet, what it is we're giving money towards. So I guess my observation is just, I understand from both sides how difficult this is, but you can't let emotion be what dictates financial responsibility as a town. Sometimes I feel like that's my.
Thank you for the input. I wrote Joe next.
so I just have a quick question, John. Was the demo, so you brought up the non-public session and there's things that we don't know. Was it the building that was discussed?
Joe, I can't get into the details, that's why it's called a non-public discussion.
You can give what the title was about.
No, it was a C, Joe. It was under a C category of the 91A.
C category? Okay.
Yeah. That's why it's called a non-public. We don't disclose
Thank you.
what we said within it. Did Lynn, did you have your hand up?
Sure, I'll go next.
Okay, I think you might have before Bob, that's
Center
why.
Ossipee, New Hampshire. And I just want to thank all of you who have been part of our community and supporting Main Street through the years, and especially Pat. I kind of just, let's see, I've been helping Pat out as a volunteer for I don't know how many years. We go way back when I was on the Conservation Commission and Zoning Board. She was our secretary, and have always been involved in different community projects. I worked with Gala, I served as AmeriCorps Vista, worked with Green Mountain Conservation Group, tested the water here, released trout fry with hundreds of students across the watershed. So this place is very dear to my heart. And I know there have been hundreds of families that have worked through the years. It's been over 20 years, that project. And 3 generations that I know of that I just met at the penny sale that we had at the end of January. We had an aunt that came all the way from Donick to be here. And I can honestly admit, Pat, no offense, but penny sales are not my favorite thing to support. But Pat always has a great one, and it's hysterical because some people don't know if they should get the blue or the pink tickets, but there are some families that swear their blue color wins every prize. But beside that, I have been reading, just became president Friday after Pat received your letter, and I just want to make sure you do have our address. We have our website's actually posted on the town website, so you should have our physical or our mailing address for Main Street, because we have not received any formal letter. You addressed it to Pat Jones. I would like a formal letter so we have it for the board. And I also need it for New Hampshire nonprofit organization and the Main Street America program, who started this whole project to begin with to help us.
Okay, make sure he gets that.
I also wanted to let you know that somebody took our front sign off our building. And I know I had already asked Pat, it wasn't Pat. And it was a day that I think some pump was removed also from inside the building. So I would like that returned, please.
I don't know anything about it. It's nothing to do with it, we didn't take a sign off.
All right, well, someone did.
Okay, maybe someone watching out in the world will return it.
If you know, if it shows up, please return it. And I know that 2,500, Pat has sometimes missed the deadlines for the budget and all that, and I understand that, and her health has been failing, and she's done the best job she could do under the circumstances, and continue to try to make sure that the Main Street was supported. So I understand, and I looked at it, and actually I think the wording was saying something about the utilities, and I know that the town does pay for the utilities anyway, so to me that's kind of a motion to bring forward, because you guys were already contributing to that. But under the circumstances, we could certainly use it. I have had to try to figure out our phone and all that, and I did, even just starting recently, had different events already planned in April, and one of them, and I still do, and I actually need Matt, if you do have a list of all the different people that have either donated land and have a plaque set up in the town, like I know there's one at Constitution Park, the people that donated that land. We have them all around, and I don't know if you have a
Never
list
seen
of
one, but
them,
I could certainly look.
because I'd like to do a commemorative event at the park, and that's never been done since its inception, with all the people that have bought bricks.
Just,
in
can you wrap it up, Lynn,
memory of different
please?
people.
Your 5 minutes was up, can you wrap it up?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I just got a quick question.
Sure.
So you said it was under 91A, under C?
Yes.
Which matters if discussed in public would likely affect the adverse reputation of any person? How does
Yes.
that have anything to do with the building?
There you go, Joe, I can't discuss the reasons
No,
in
but
the non-public
but
discussion.
talking about buildings
The
other
building
than
is-
purchasing real estate is under non-disclosure.
Purchasing real estate, I'm sorry, Joe?
Yeah, so one of the reasons you can go into would be the next one down, D. Consideration of the acquisition, sale, or lease of real or personal property, which in discussed in public would likely benefit a party or parties interested or adverse to those, to the general community.
Correct, so I'm not having a back and forth, but you're saying things that are completely inaccurate.
No, I'm not. I'm reading it from the RSA.
We're not selling a building, Joe, that's D.
No, I understand, but
So-
you said it was under C,
Correct, reputational risk.
which C is a reputation. How does the
Correct,
building
Joe.
have anything to do with somebody's reputation?
Joe, I'm not gonna elaborate on the non-public.
Because anything regarding somebody that's, you're not supposed to go in a non-public.
Joe, a reputational risk involves people.
Yes.
Maybe there was people discussed within the non-public, Joe, that we can't talk to you about.
No, that's
the
fine.
point.
I don't care
So
what
you
the person-
keep prodding on the non-public like you have some magical thing going on here that we violated the non-public.
No, I'm just wondering, because you said that there's information that we don't know. And all of a
Correct.
sudden, we have a building being ripped down under that guise.
No, Joe.
That's what you
Joe,
said.
We made it, Joe, I'm gonna answer, this is the last time we're discussing the non-public.
Okay?
When we had a discussion in non-public under C, it involves reputational risk. We cannot disclose what we discussed in
And
the
I
non-public.
understand that.
The vote was made in a public meeting. I think you're missing, maybe you didn't watch that meeting when we discussed the building, we talked about it briefly, we made the motion. That was done in a public meeting, Joe. That was not in a non-public. So
Okay.
I don't know, maybe you're not aware of that.
No, I did not see
Okay,
that.
well, there you go.
I did not see that.
So there you go.
But the vote was made between you guys. Was there any discussion publicly about the building being taken down?
Yes, we made it in a public meeting. It was
No, you
right
made it
here.
a public meeting, but
Yes.
was there a discussion
No,
about
Joe.
it with people? It was your public meeting.
Yes, it was a public selectmen's meeting.
Yes.
Just like we're doing now.
Yeah.
We make motions. It was for the public to see. Mr. Honorable Ed Camo videotaped it.
Right.
Feel free to watch it.
So it wasn't, this is a big decision,
Yeah.
ripping down a building that's being used for public. That normally, if you're gonna be totally transparent, would make another meeting to discuss this and discuss the reasons why, letting everybody know what's going on. This happened at a whim. So, thank you.
Joe, I've already explained it to you, we've made this discussion in the public meeting, and everyone will have their eyes on it to see. Obviously, you haven't watched it, so I implore you to watch it. Thank you. Get Dallas.
Dallas Zimmer.
Sure.
Well, I can't stick around. I have an appointment at 5. I'm going to be late.
Sure.
I actually came for the public hearing about the
Okay.
dump fees and the water fees. I'm not exactly sure what you're going to do there. I'm going to say I'm opposed to raising any fees any further, but I have to go.
Yep.
As far as the rest of this, there's no difference, at the budget committee meeting, there's no difference between them not showing up and the schools out committee not showing up. They both did it through town warrant article, so there's no difference there. Neither one of them wanted to go through the budget process. They both skipped it. So I don't know how you can claim that as anything. As far as the building, great. One way or another, it doesn't sound like these people are too happy. Sounds like you guys have an agenda that you're going to go forward with no matter what anybody says here, so I'm going to stay out of it. I do have to go. I just wanted to make you know about my opinion as far as the water and the dump. The thing with the dump is, back years ago, we had a problem, and we lowered all of the dump fees in town because people were dumping their trash in the woods, and we had a problem with that. So this did happen once before. Now the rates keep going up. It's going to start happening again. I'm a little concerned about it. So,
Dallas, on your way out, I encourage you to take the changes are all in red line here.
and I do have to go. If I didn't have an appointment, I would stay.
Thanks, Dallas. Okay, go ahead, Damon. And then we've already been in public input for a long time, and I'm going to shut down public input.
What's the schedule on this building's survival? How much longer do you think it'll be up and standing?
It's fluid, it depends upon the resources when they get put together, I can't give you a certain date.
All right.
Last question, and then I'm closing public input.
Like, really?
Oh, I'm sorry, we do next, Bob?
Really?
I'm sorry, go ahead, Bob.
Don't play games, John. Anyway, getting
Bob?
back to the 6 o'clock
Yeah.
request from the townspeople about Selectmen's meeting, there was one other thing. With as many people are actually objecting to the building takedown, don't you think it would have been smarter to move warrant articles or the town meeting prior to the election so we actually know as townspeople what we're dealing with and who we're dealing with? A little more transparency?
I don't, can you rephrase the question?
Well, we're looking for transparency, I think.
No, but
People,
rephrase the
right?
question about
I
warrant
think that,
articles.
I think that people might have voted a lot differently. People are feeling like the board has an agenda. There's a lot of townspeople that are supporting that building. I mean, you guys don't even want to be heard. You guys don't even want to listen. So we're basically, I mean, don't you think it would have been easier to do the, town meeting before we did meet the candidates and...
Okay, I think you...
Well, I think it would give us an opportunity better as a town to see how the board up there is going to vote on certain...
So this is a question that is, you're asking us to break state law by putting town meeting whenever we don't get...
No, I'm asking,
Hold on.
Is it possible?
Town meeting date is determined by state law. This is all in statute. We don't get to pick and choose.
Okay, but
when
we get to
finish.
move our elections around, so how come we don't move the elections after?
We don't get to pick and choose when we hold town meeting in the sense of...
Or the election.
Or the election. We don't just say we're gonna put town meeting before the election,
So should I put it in the warrant article?
No, you can't do that. It's just, this is a Dillon's Rule state. I beat this to death in this thing. We're not kings and queens. We don't get to make up law. We follow the law as prescribed to us by the state legislature. That's how it works. We just can't make stuff up on the fly. That's called the Dillon's Rule state. It's just,
Well, how about if we put the fate of the building in a warrant article?
how is that?
We hold it up and let the... Yeah, back in March, let the people vote.
We would have had to put a petition warrant article in back in January when you had two members that may not have been sitting here. Why would an old board discuss business going into the next election cycle?
I think a lot of people are opposed, and I don't think the board's listening.
You don't understand.
We
An
got
old
to
board
legislate
can't, an old band can't speak
Kinda
for...
are the boss.
Bob, Bob, an old board can't speak for a new board coming in after an election. It doesn't work that way. That's why you see this now. We have a new board, a decision was made. You can't have an old board put something in and dictate to a new board. It doesn't work that way.
I think a
I'm
lot of
sorry,
people feel
Bob,
that this.
Bob, we're moving on. Joy?
You know, he was supposed to be the last.
Yeah.
I think.
Joy's the last on the public input.
I think what we're upset about is the process that was taken. I think that the community would have liked to have some input in this, and you took that away from us. And the choice was made, nobody knew that it was even gonna be brought up. Here we are, you're saying power is even turned off, the building's coming down, nobody's given any input. I think his point is, we would have liked that input before town meeting.
Again,
I know we couldn't have, you can't, but we don't like the process. And maybe in the future you could change it if you plan to take another building down.
we can't change the deadlines of when town meeting
I don't
and
mean town
election is.
meeting. I mean the process of
Okay, I
building
accept your
construction.
input, thank you. Okay, public input's closed. All right, Ash hasn't said nothing, he's in the back here.
I did, I was like, no, I'll respect it.
You're the last one, because we've got other business to get on with.
I respect that, thank you, Chairman. So, Ash Fishbun, Ossipee Village, couple things that I'm hearing here, I'm gonna try to unpack this as fast as I can. Obviously, we're all very nostalgic for Main Street as a organization, and I think that's important to support that. I don't know if it necessarily requires a building of its own. I think that's certainly an argument to be had. As a person who owns a lot of old buildings, I also understand what it takes to maintain them, volunteers or not, doing the paint on your own or not, doesn't matter. My other thing that I just need to put out there is it's super easy from this side of that table to hear what might be an agenda from you folks. And statutes, Jonathan, which are the language you speak, are cold. Law is cold, ordinances can be cold, but it's the language you speak, and you speak it really well. On this side of the table, it's really hard to see that. And I feel that, to Joy's point, transparency is super important. But it sounds like you had some considerations to make that aren't public. And you had to make those decisions. And you're put in those seats by a group of people that believe in you, that put you there because they thought you'd do the best for this town, that would make the right decisions, the right calls, even the hard ones. That is a thankless job. I think everyone might understand that. But to say, you know, if we did have that public hearing, what I see from Joy's point, sorry, if we did have that public hearing, you get a snapshot of people that show up. You certainly do, and they all rah-rah, and they're very passionate, and I love that. It's one of the amazing things about this town. But you also have several thousand people that aren't showing up that are like, no, it's cool, they're doing what they need to do. I don't know if they didn't hear about it, but I'd like to believe that a lot of the people that don't show go, yeah, I'm kind of digging the way things are right now, and this is the way they're going to vote. They know what they need to do because we put them there in the first place. So I just want to say that whatever decisions you have to make, I have to put that in your court. You have to sleep with it every night. That's cool. That's what you do. On my side, as a business owner in this town, there's nothing more than we need is parking. We need parking. We also need commercial buildings equally. I've looked at that building. I've walked around it. To me, it's not in anywhere a use for a commercial building, so there's no value to that. I will honestly say that. So I just want to kind of put that diatribe out there and you know, thank you guys for doing what you're doing. From this side, yes, I think having conversations and putting a little humility into it and personality versus law, it does help. It does go a long way. But I stand behind what you make for a decision, and I think with TJ and his guys, you have to make the right decisions. As far as Pat and Main Street, oh my gosh, thank goodness for all the things you've done, Pat. I mean, holy cow. You have been a fixture and a staple to the community, trying to bring people together forever.
We intend to continue.
Well, that's great. That's great. And I think you should. But I you know, that's kind of my piece. I don't necessarily think it has to be in that building. I don't know what goes on in that building, but if they say that it needs to come down, I have to trust that you're making the decisions necessary with the information you have that we may not be able to access.
Thank you, Ash. Okay, no further public input. Do I have something to add to that, Brian?
Yeah, I just wanted to just clarify to not confuse the building with the selectmen. No one here has a desire, and I usually hesitate to speculate, but I can speak on behalf of Sue and John. No one wants to suppress Main Street. In fact, we would encourage them to be vibrant again. Nothing to do with the building. It's two separate issues.
Okay, so you want to go on to your financial document there?
I have a check voucher totals, payroll for week ending March 30, 2024. Wages, $42,092.05. Payroll taxes, $11,951.47. Total payroll, $54,043.52. Accounts payable as of March 30, 2024. General fund total $36,075.73. Water, $549.63. Sewer, $1,044.75. Total accounts payable, $37,670.11. Total fund payments, $91,713.63. I make a motion, we approve these check voucher totals.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So just for the record, we had an enormous stack of additional documents we went through upstairs in the public work session, because for the spirit of time, we didn't want to be down there any longer than we had to. But we have two additional things here. I have a request from the Conservation Commission. The Conservation Commission is requesting the Board of Selectmen to approve the assistance of Tony Eldridge in the Public Works Department in assisting the Conservation Commission with the landscape project previously discussed with Tony Eldridge at the Windows property. So I'll make a motion to grant the request of the Conservation Committee to assist them with the Windows property.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We also have the short-term rental application. We talked about it in a public meeting in the past. Matt, I worked on it with Matt to draft it. It's just the application. It's obviously applications are fluid, but we think it's a pretty good compromise based on the ordinance that passed by the people. So I'll make a motion to approve the application.
Second.
All those in favor? Mr. Mitchell?
Aye.
You guys got no business? Go ahead, TJ.
Well, this is actually about road postings, so is that new
Okay,
business? Yeah, so mobile road postings today, they're no longer posted in the town of Ossipee. I know we have bad weather coming, but we figured there were so many people that want to get back to work that we wanted to pull them. Other towns are starting to. The other thing I wanted to address real quick, I know Dave had to leave, but Susan, if you could please tell him the two spots that are out there. That is something that John and previous boards have had me look into, and it's so hard to figure out right there because the state doesn't want to take ownership on it, the town doesn't. That's something we're looking into, but regardless if that's private or state or town, I work with District 3 maintenance supervisor.
Okay.
And when you come off Huckins Street, when we plow, when we make that turn, you're taking all 16, 17 feet of the plow and wing and you're putting it right against those cars. And yes, they can get out, but when they move, there's that pile of snow there. And we go around to a lot of places, Neil does, and has a loader move snow, so there's a sight distance. Well, if we do that enough, plus the state does it going on Folsom Road, that one area gets so much concentrated snow, we have to remove it, no matter if it was private or not, for the safety of the traveling public. Because when you pull out, you can't see cars coming each way. So that's why we do it, and Timmy did it, of course, we got 30 inches of snow in a short period of time.
He did, yeah.
He removed it because it was right up over the cars, and when you pulled out of Huckin Street, you had to get in the road before you could see to go left or right.
And then you have kids walking to school and things like that.
Yep.
I didn't think about the blades. I drive with David because the plowing, and you're right, the blade coming around.
Yeah, especially when, well, Sean plows that, when you turn right for the truck with the wing down,
Yeah.
you take double the amount of snow than you do going left. So we have to clean that out because we can't see, you guys can't see, so we have to clean that out. Just like we do when we high wing, we have to clean the end of people's driveways out because they have to be able to see to get out of their driveway.
Okay.
But I can talk to Dave too, but you can tell him a little bit.
Okay, good. Anything else, Matt? No? Alrighty, I'm gonna go to a second public input, but it's not gonna beat Main Street. We're closed, Main Street is closed.
What's the deadline on the short-term rental application?
Well, we haven't implemented yet, 'cause we're still waiting on one legal opinion to come back. So once it's up and running, it'll be on the webpage, it'll be advertised that the applications are being accepted. Sure. Go ahead, Mr. Bowe.
Earlier, I think during the town meetings and everything, I kind of mentioned, you know, the townspeople would like a list of salaries and why they were bunched together in one number in the town book. And I think you were the one that said, come on in anytime and you sit down and show me the positions and the salaries.
Sure.
I think Dallas made the request and he was told 5 days.
He did. So, yeah, so I'll answer that. 91A request is what he did. He will get that information, but it's not a list that you just keep hanging on the wall, like, well, there's nothing on the wall, I can't use it as an example, but
No.
like the public input policy there, that just doesn't hang there. So it's like any other 91A request, he will get that.
Okay.
Yeah.
In 5 days.
No, 5 days to give, so 91A, you have 5 days to give a response. You could take as much time as necessary to provide the information. That's 91A. However, we try to provide it as soon as practically possible.
So am I still eligible to come in and get a printout?
If you, well, Dallas just did a 91A request verbally in the office. If you want to go do a 91A request, you can give a 91A request and get the, it's not a printout, it's going to have to be compiled. It's not like this is in a running spreadsheet. It's going to have to be compiled, each person, and put into a sheet to be
Well,
provided.
I really don't want names, I don't care what the names,
Yeah.
just
But that's-
positions and...
Sure, so you can get that. Yeah. Any other public input? Kyle raised his hand and then you. I'm sorry, I don't know your name in the back.
Kyle Copeland, Center Ossipee.
Sure.
I just want to say thank you. I wasn't able to make it to the Selectmen's meeting a couple weeks ago when you guys talked about the signage out on Route 25 by the public boat ramp. But I did see some follow-up there last week that the DOT and police are on board as well, and it looks like we're going to get those signs over there.
Yep.
I think it's going to go a long way to help them with safety along Route 25 and also help maybe keep the lake a little less crowded on the weekend. So really appreciate the help on that, guys.
I'm glad we could help. I'm sorry, ma'am, I don't know your name in the back.
Arlene Wilson, Center Ossipee,
Sure.
and I missed his question about the short-term
Sure.
rental permits. So it's going to be published on the webpage
One-
after one more legal review, is that what you?
Once we get the answer back from the attorney, we're going to put it up and running. So, and it's not going to be like drop the hammer, we're going to enforce it. It's going to be time for compliance, everyone's got to do what they need to do. So yeah, we're just waiting on the kinks to work out.
Would that by any chance be related to the grandfathering criteria?
I'm sorry?
Is it related to grandfathering
Yes.
criteria?
Yep,
Okay.
it is.
So when it's, I understand not the hammer, but what sort of an enforcement outline has been set up, if any?
So the ordinance lays out, I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, I read it.
Yeah, so it lays out, if there's substantiated police report from either the police officer or the fire chief was there and he noticed 20 kids and there's supposed to be 8, or the zoning officer, the building inspector shows up, or any official capacity goes there and witnesses a violation, they can report it to the town, and then you follow the STR ordinance guidelines. And the fining mechanism is through any other zoning ordinance infraction. It would be a notice of violation, fines are, if it go, from the date of the notice of violation is issued, the fines start to incur of $275 per day per offense. But again, those fines are not implemented until it goes to court and the judge awards that. We don't just do it on our own. Everything in zoning goes through a judge, goes through the court process.
A quick question on, so they, somebody's renting, they fill out a permit, file with this town. Is there any way for homeowners associations to get access to that, to verify that people in their area have in fact?
Sure. If they were to call, we can just provide, they give us the addresses, we can provide whoever, it's a public document, so we'd be able to provide that to anybody who requests
And that
it.
would be through the zoning office?
Yes, the zoning office.
Awesome.
Thank you. Any other questions? No?
It's not a question.
Okay, good.
All right, Joy with Center Ossipee.
Sure.
So the Ossipee Roundtable is celebrating their 5 years in existence, and we're doing a resource fair here at the Town Hall May 9th, and we're inviting anyone to come to it. So a resource fair will be all the nonprofits that are a part of our group. We'll be setting up tables around this room. We're hoping to have food for everybody. You can come and meet all of the different agencies, the outside agencies that are on our budget that we fund and that serve our community. It's a great opportunity to meet them, get to know what they're doing, and we would like the town to be a part of it. You can either set up a table, you can come and just check it out, or whatever rec department can set up a table, schools out, whoever wants to be there. So, May 9th.
Great, thank you. I assume you got on the event calendar in the office?
It's already booked.
Good, great.
And once the flyers are out, we'll send that to you guys.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, being no further public input, I am going to adjourn the meeting and open the public hearing on the fee schedule for the transfer station and the building zoning fee schedule. It is 5:17. So, obviously the board had a chance to review this. I'm going to go right to the public input on the fee schedule, if there is any. It's pretty big.
Edited versions are here, there's very minimal changes.
Very minimal changes, it's
The
pretty
only thing
basic.
is what Dallas said.
Sure.
The last time they increased the fees, they were dumping every place, and I know that for a fact.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. Which one, go ahead, Frank, I'll let you finish, I'm sorry.
What I'm saying is, because of raising the fees, some people can't afford it, I hate to say it, but they can't. They're gonna dump it out like they did up all the way around the town. And I just hope it doesn't happen again.
We have the same concern on that, but we didn't increase the fees on any of the transfer station items except for the construction debris. That is it. Everything else is staying the same, tires, mattresses, refrigerators, etc.
Well, no, I agree with that, but you're going from 20 for 2 years to 40.
Correct. And I'll explain that when we get further, but Susan.
That's what I was gonna ask, because I know 20 was one thing, but to double it, that seems
Right.
a substantial
Yeah,
amount.
so, you gotta look at it this way. You can bring all your household trash right now to the transfer station for $10 a year.
Right.
The transfer station budget is $600,000 a year. We take in currently $50,000 through dump stickers right now, and about $210 through other various sources of income. So out of that $600,000, only $250 is being covered by fees. The other, if I do my math right, $350,000, did I say that right?
Yeah.
$350,000 is being paid for by the general taxpayer, meaning you're still paying for it, or people that don't use it are paying for it. Transfer station is one of those areas that if you use it, you pay for it. It's kind of the fairest way to run government, as opposed to having someone who has a dumpster at his house and never goes there. He's already supplementing it in his taxes, because again, only $250,000 is covered through fees currently. So it's, the whole idea is fees goes up, you have to raise less by taxation. So those who are using it are paying for it. That is fair. That is absolutely the fairest way. So, do you have a follow-up, Susan?
Well, when you have Redwood Town pickup too, like coming from Georgetown,
Right.
I would have to pay
Right.
them to pick up my trash. I never thought about, well, someone else might not put their trash
Yeah.
out, but I'm paying to have my trash,
Right.
you know, so I guess again, pretty much, you know, it's always a lot when you double something, you know, like to gradually bring things up so much, but I don't know previous, because I haven't been here that long, if there was an arrangement before about how fast we were increasing the fees?
So, no, there is no arrangement, but it's a 2-year sticker for $40.
Right.
Break that down per month. You can
Well,
bring
yeah.
you can bring your garbage there. There's people, go stand there. People bring in truckloads of household trash, and they're paying $20 a year to do that. Some places, and I don't ever want to see that, but they charge $1 a bag.
Yes.
And we always question, is a lot of the garbage outside the town really, that's come in, really from outside the town coming into our town because it's so cheap here.
Joe, can I speak on that?
Sure, go ahead.
So I can't speak, he already spoke on the stickers, but the $200 a ton, what I like to do because in all the departments that I have, I like to look at what other towns do that are comparable size to what we are and comparable budgets to what we are. What we were afraid of is what John just spoke to, is trash coming from other towns. Small town, you notice when someone's not from this town, and a lot of the people come there, do not live in that town, because they live near me, I've seen them there. And they come there because they get it for 200 a ton. The towns around us are 220, 240, 250, so I feel like the Ossipee taxpayer is paying a lot to get rid of that when they're not really the ones that are dumping it, do you know what I'm saying? And we have, it's kind of a difficult area where they have a sticker somehow, but it's pretty easy to get it if you have a resident that just you work for that day and they give you a sticker. You know what I mean? It's hard to check that every day, especially when that dump's got a line right out the door. Bonnie does an excellent job at it, but I feel like there is a lot of trash coming in and I just want to be kind of the same as everybody around us.
So comparative to some of the other towns, we're right on track then?
That's about right there, is 220.
Okay.
220 is about the average of what I call the rounding up.
So I don't want to beat this to death, but you're on the budget committee and you know it, the higher the revenues, the lower the tax rate. So we try to, it's a balancing act between not raising the fees too high, but bringing enough revenue to help cover the cost.
I just didn't know from previous times, because I know like you spoke about last time it went up, people started putting trash in the woods and things like that. And I understand the whole process thing, I just didn't know how the increase was distributed.
I can speak on that too. They're still doing that a lot.
People are still.
We have Archie's Pond Road, Neil's here, there's what would you say, 10-wheeler loads down there of trash? I mean, it's continuously coming in. He'll take a load out. It seems like in a month there's another load in. If people are gonna be honest, they're gonna be honest.
Right. The honest are honest, the dishonest are dishonest. People speed when there's a speed limit. People rob banks when it's illegal to rob banks. I mean.
Put a game camera out there.
Well, we've done that, yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I was gonna ask a question. Sure. I know, like, we sell cardboard, we sell, metal, the metal dumpster, cardboard, glass. We used to sell plastic, but we don't do that anymore.
We don't sell glass.
No, we don't sell glass.
Oh, you don't sell the glass?
Just like the plastic, you have to pay to get rid of it.
No, I thought, I was told that you.
No, we bring it to NRRA and we pay $40 a ton to get rid of it instead of the $160 that you would pay if it went in the garbage. So that's the savings we have, we just pay less to get rid of it. And the plastic, we paid to get rid of it. Mixed paper, we paid to get rid of it. We do get some money for cardboard. We just got one of the highest loads that we've had, and I believe it was right around $3,000 for 28 ton.
And you know how much processing, manpower, diesel
I know.
fuel?
I know what they do.
It's a losing proposition.
No, there are making money. How about the metal?
They make a lot of money in the metal.
Metals the aluminum cans.
Aluminum cans.
That's about the
I'm talking about like the metal dumpster.
Yeah, we get a lot. We have, I think I have it right here actually. We make quite a bit of money on the metal.
Good. That's what, Rickers?
Rickers Junkyard.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the transfer station fees. Again, pretty basic,
Okay.
only two
That's all I
changes.
wanted to know.
I'm gonna flip over to the building permit, the permit fee schedule is what they call it. Again, pretty self-explanatory, not large increases, pretty minor. It's a user fee. As revenues come up, tax rate comes down. That's the simple budget process. The big one on this is the short-term rental permit. We had some discussions about what's the fairest way to implement it. It's a 2-year permit, and we were saying, some guy has 3 or 4 bedrooms, shouldn't pay the same as someone who has 1 bedroom that's renting. Because I had some calls from somebody who has 1 room that they rent out. So we've come up with a $50 base permit application fee like every other permit, plus $100 per bedroom. So if you have a 3-bedroom home, you're gonna pay $350 for a 2-year permit. You break it down yearly, $175 a year is not a lot of money to operate the short-term rental. Again, this is an idea. We don't know what the perfect number is. I mean, we don't. This is the first time for us, and we're trying to do our best with, what we think is right. So,
So it's on how the house is, the property is described, so they can't say, well, that's an office or whatever, and we have 2 bedrooms on 3, but if the property is listed as a 3-bedroom for taxation, whatever,
So-
they have to go with that?
Yep, so basically, I don't know what I did with it, I misplaced it. The short-term rental application, when they fill it out, it's gonna have on there how many bedrooms they're renting.
Right,
So the ordinance says you could have 2 people per bedroom plus 2.
right.
So if they're renting 3 bedrooms, they could have 8 people. So they would pay $350 for the permit.
Okay.
So that's how it is.
That's what I thought it was all summed up like that.
Yep, no,
Okay.
so that's the limiting and that's the gauge on it.
That's perfect,
Yeah,
that's good.
yeah. Any other questions on the fee schedule? Go ahead, Lois.
Lois Sweeney, Ossipee Corner. You crossed out the in-ground swimming pool, we can do that for nothing now?
No, because first off, we've never issued one. As far as I can, you look back in Avatar, there's never, I don't know how that got on there. That got put on there a few years ago before I was in this role. And an in-ground swimming pool is just a building permit application. That's how it's governed. So it's just going to follow the building permit application schedule. That's the reason for it. Yeah. So, any other questions? Nothing? You guys have any questions, comments on the fee schedule before I make a motion? So I'll make a motion to adopt the fee schedule as presented in the public hearing. All those in favor? Aye. Alrighty. Okay. All right, I think that's it. Business is closed. I'm going to make a motion to adjourn the public hearing. All those in favor? Aye.
5:27.
Oh, April 15th.
Yeah. The external data